Ethan, I need you in London by Friday. Victoria's voice sounded calm through my phone, but something about the pause before my name made my stomach tighten. What happened? I asked. Nothing happened. That is exactly why I am calling. The Hamilton Group is ready to sign, but the final negotiations require someone who understands our numbers. You mean me? I mean you. I laughed softly. Victoria, you are the CEO. You can close any deal. I can close many deals. This one is different. I built the strategy, but you built the financial model. Hamilton wants you in the room. Pride warmed my chest. You really trust me with this? I trust you more than anyone. Those words settled every doubt I had. Then send me the flight. I already did. I smiled. You planned everything before asking? I know how you think. I know how you think too. The silence lasted a little too long. Victoria? I'm here. You sound tired. I am tired. Is everything okay? Everything will be okay when this deal is finished. I heard myself grin. You make it sound like I'm saving the company. You might be. I wanted to believe that. Then I'll go. Thank you, Ethan. Don't thank me yet. I expect dinner when I get home. You always expect dinner. I married the best cook in New York. You married the woman who orders takeout. That works too. Victoria laughed, and for one brief moment, everything felt normal. 2 hours later, Ryan called. So, London? London. Victoria finally convinced you? Victoria didn't have to convince me. Ryan chuckled. That is because you would cross an ocean for Victoria. I would cross 10. That is what worries me. I frowned. Why? Because you forget business trips become lonely. I'll survive. I know. I'm talking about Victoria. What about Victoria? Nothing. Forget it. Ryan, you brought it up. Fine. Victoria has been under pressure. I'll make sure Victoria isn't stuck working 20 hours a day while you're gone. I smiled. Look after my wife. You know I will. That sentence should have comforted me. Instead, something inside me went quiet. Still, I ignored the feeling. The next morning, Victoria kissed me beside the front door. Come back soon, Victoria whispered. I'll be back before you miss me. I already miss you. I held Victoria close. I love you. I love you too. I believed every word. London became a blur of meetings, spreadsheets, conference rooms, and cold coffee. I slept 4 hours each night and spent the rest of my time negotiating with Hamilton executives. On the third night, Victoria called. How are you? Exhausted. Good. I laughed. Good. Exhausted means working. You are impossible. Did Hamilton move? 5%. That is not enough. I know. Then push harder. I'm trying. No, Ethan. You are winning. Her confidence gave me strength. You really believe that? I know you. I stared at the city lights beyond my hotel window. Victoria, when I come home, I want 3 days without a laptop. You can have 3 days. And one dinner. One dinner. And a kiss. 2 kisses. Deal. The next morning, Hamilton finally accepted my final terms. I stared at the signed agreement and almost laughed. We did it, I whispered. Victoria answered immediately when I called. Tell me. We got the deal. Silence. Then Victoria breathed. You did it. We did it. I'm proud of you. I'm coming home early. Early. Tomorrow. Ethan, wait. I thought you were staying until Monday. I changed the flight. Why? Because I want to surprise my wife. Victoria went silent. Victoria? I'm just surprised. You sound nervous. I'm not nervous. You sure? Yes. Come home. I smiled. That was all I needed. I never imagined what waited there. I boarded the first flight out, carrying the signed agreement and a ridiculous amount of confidence. I imagined Victoria opening the door. I imagined dinner. I imagined the life waiting for me. When I reached home, the house was dark. I unlocked the door and heard music. I followed the sound toward the dining room. Voices. Laughter. I stopped. Ryan's voice came first. To Victoria, the most incredible woman I have ever known. My heart stumbled. Then Victoria laughed. I stepped into the room. Dozens of candles surrounded a table covered with champagne glasses. Ryan stood beside Victoria. Victoria wore a black dress. Ryan wore a suit. Everyone turned toward me. For several seconds, nobody moved. Then I looked at Victoria's hand. A diamond ring flashed beneath the candlelight. My smile disappeared. Victoria? Victoria's face went pale. Ryan took one step forward. Ethan, listen. I raised my hand. No. My voice shook. Victoria stared at me. I can explain. I looked at the ring again. Explain what? Nobody answered. I looked around the room at the champagne, the flowers, the smiling faces that had suddenly become frozen. Then I understood. This wasn't a welcome home dinner. This wasn't a celebration for my business victory. This was an engagement party. And the man standing beside my wife was my best friend. Victoria, take the ring off. Silence filled. Victoria looked at me across the candlelit table. Ethan, please. Please what? Please pretend Ryan is not standing beside my wife. Ryan stepped forward. Ethan, let me explain. Stay where you are. Ryan. Ryan stopped. Victoria lowered her voice. Ethan, this conversation does not belong in front of everyone. My marriage belongs wherever you destroyed it. A woman near the doorway whispered something, and I finally noticed the guests watching every breath I took. Victoria looked toward the crowd. Everyone, give me a moment. Chairs scraped. Conversations faded as people slowly left the room. I stared at Victoria. When? Victoria swallowed. 3 months ago. I almost laughed. 3 months. Yes. 3 months ago, Victoria told me I was the love of your life. Ethan, feelings changed. Feelings changed while I was working 12-hour days for Victoria's company. Ryan rubbed his forehead. The relationship started during the period when Ethan was traveling. Which trip? The first extended trip, Ryan answered. I looked at Victoria. You were already doing this while I was protecting the company? Victoria's eyes hardened. The marriage was already broken. Broken? Yes. Then why did Victoria kiss me before I left? Because I was afraid. Afraid of what? Afraid of admitting that I no longer felt the same. I shook my head. That is not an answer. Victoria took one step closer. I tried to tell Ethan. No. Victoria tried to hide everything. Ryan interrupted. Ethan, nobody wanted to hurt you. I turned toward Ryan. Nobody. Ryan stayed quiet. You were my best friend. I know. You knew every promise I made to Victoria. I know. You knew every plan I had for our future. Ryan looked down. And Ryan still did this. Ryan finally raised his eyes. I fell in love. I laughed bitterly. You fell in love with my wife. Ryan answered, yes. I looked at Victoria. And Victoria fell in love with my best friend? Victoria said nothing. That silence hurt more than any confession. I pointed toward the ring. So this was already planned? Victoria nodded slowly. The engagement happened today. Today? Yes. While I was on that plane? I did not know Ethan was returning early. You knew I was coming home Monday. Yes. And Victoria celebrated before I even arrived. Victoria closed her eyes. I felt something inside me crack, but anger began filling the space. I want the truth. I have given you the truth. No. Victoria gave me a version that protects Victoria. Ryan stepped closer. Ethan, please listen. No. I reached for my phone and called Daniel. Where are you? Daniel answered immediately. Home. What? Come to my house. What happened? My marriage ended tonight. Daniel paused. I'm coming. 20 minutes later, Daniel entered the room and looked from me to Victoria, then to Ryan. Daniel frowned. Why is Ryan wearing that expression? I have no idea. Ryan said, Daniel, this is complicated. Daniel stared at Ryan. Complicated usually means someone has lied. Victoria crossed her arms. This is between Ethan and me, Daniel replied. Then Ethan deserves the truth. Claire quietly approached me near the doorway. Ethan, I need to tell you something. What? Victoria's story is incomplete. My heart tightened. What did Claire see? Not enough to prove everything. But there were meetings, private meetings, long before Ethan left. With Ryan? Claire nodded. How long? I do not know. Then find out. Claire lowered her voice. I will. I looked at Victoria one final time. I am leaving. Victoria stared at me. Where will Ethan go? Home. Ethan, this is your home too. I shook my head. Not anymore. Daniel followed me outside. Do not make a decision tonight, Daniel warned. I already made one. Which one? I will not beg Victoria to choose me. At home, I opened my laptop and checked our shared accounts. My stomach dropped. Several transfers had already been made. Investment funds, savings, business-linked assets. I called Daniel. Victoria moved money. How much? I do not know yet. Ethan, save every record. I will. A notification appeared on my screen. One new message. No name, no number, just one sentence. You deserve to know when the betrayal really began. A photograph followed. I opened it. Victoria stood beside Ryan at a restaurant. Victoria and Ryan were smiling. The date printed below the image was 6 months earlier. 6 months before my trip. 6 months before Victoria told me our marriage was breaking. I called Claire again. Claire, did Victoria ever mention a restaurant? No. Did Victoria meet Ryan privately before my trip? Claire hesitated. Yes. How often? More than once. Then Claire knows something. I know enough to be afraid. Afraid of Victoria? Afraid of what Ethan may discover. I looked at the photograph again. Then I will discover everything, no matter how much it hurts. I stared at the photograph until my eyes burned. My heartbreak suddenly felt different. This was no longer only about a ring. Something had been hidden from me, and someone wanted me to find it. The photograph stayed open on my laptop. 6 months earlier, Victoria and Ryan smiling across a restaurant table. I zoomed in until the image blurred. Claire, send me everything. Claire answered, everything about Ryan? Everything about Ryan and Victoria. I can access meeting records, but some files require Evelyn's approval. Then call Evelyn. I already did. What did Evelyn say? Evelyn agreed to meet. How soon? 30 minutes. I closed the photograph. For 6 months, I whispered. I thought I was protecting my marriage. My phone rang. Daniel, where are you? At home. Are you alone? Yes. Good. Do not confront Victoria tonight. I already confronted Victoria. Stay inside. Then do not confront Ryan again. I'm not planning to. That is not what Ethan usually says after betrayal. I'm not the same person I was yesterday. Daniel paused. What changed? I stopped asking why Victoria chose Ryan. And now I know what Victoria and Ryan were hiding. 30 minutes later, Claire arrived carrying a folder. Ethan, I copied meeting schedules, visitor logs, and internal approvals. I opened the first page. Ryan attended 12 private meetings with Victoria. Claire nodded. 8 happened before Ethan left. 8. Yes. Why did nobody tell me? Because the meetings were marked confidential. I turned another page. Where were these meetings? Executive offices, private restaurants, 2 hotel conference rooms, hotels. Claire hesitated. What? 3 meetings occurred without anyone from legal or finance present. That makes no sense. It does if the meetings were personal. I looked at Claire. Does Claire believe Victoria was planning this? I believe Victoria was planning something. Before I could respond, another voice came from the doorway. Ethan. I turned. A woman in a gray suit stood beside Claire. I'm Evelyn Moore. I stood. Thank you for coming. Evelyn placed a tablet on the table. I reviewed the transfers you mentioned. How bad? Worse than I expected. I stared at the screen. Explain. Several corporate funds moved through temporary investment accounts. Whose accounts? Accounts connected to Ryan. My chest tightened. Did Victoria authorize them? Victoria's electronic signature appears on some documents. Some. Evelyn opened another file. Other transfers were approved through Ryan's credentials. I leaned closer. How much? I'm still calculating the total. Evelyn, give me the important part. The transfers started 6 weeks before your overseas trip. I looked at Claire. Then the trip was not the beginning. No, Evelyn said. The trip may have helped them continue without interruption. I felt cold. They sent me away. I cannot prove that, Evelyn replied. But Evelyn suspects it. Yes. I stood. Then I need to speak with Victoria. Daniel called before I could leave. Do not go there angry. I'm going for answers. Anger will make you reveal what you know. I will control myself. Promise me. I promise. Victoria was sitting behind the executive desk when I entered. Ethan, why are you here? I placed a photograph on the desk. Do you recognize this? Victoria glanced at it. Yes. 6 months ago. Yes. Why did Victoria never tell me? Because nothing happened. 8 private meetings happened. Victoria's expression changed. Who gave you those records? Does it matter? It matters because company information is confidential. My marriage is confidential too, apparently. Victoria stood. You are becoming paranoid. Paranoid? Yes. Ethan is looking for connections because Ethan cannot accept the marriage is over. I pushed the transfer records across the desk. What about these? Victoria looked down. Those are business transactions. Then explain why Ryan's accounts received company money. Ryan worked on several investment projects. Before I left? Yes. While Victoria told me I was the only person capable of closing the Hamilton deal, Victoria's jaw tightened. You are twisting everything. No, I am finally looking at everything. Victoria walked around the desk. You do not recognize me anymore. I stared at Victoria. Maybe I finally do. Victoria flinched. Ethan, after everything we shared, how can you believe strangers over me? That sentence hit exactly where Victoria knew it would. I remembered our wedding. Our first apartment. The night Victoria cried against my shoulder after losing her first major investor. I almost softened. Then I remembered the ring. Ryan knew those memories too. Ryan knew exactly which memories could weaken me. I stepped back. I am not discussing this anymore. Victoria whispered, then I walked away. Daniel met me outside. You controlled yourself. I wanted to break everything, but you did not. I realized something. What? If I attack them, they win. Daniel nodded. Exactly. I need evidence. Then build a case. We returned to my house. Evelyn called before midnight. Ethan, I found another document. What kind? A corporate agreement. Between whom? Victoria and Ryan. About the money? No. What then? Evelyn was silent. Evelyn, the document gives Ryan a path to control a major part of the company. My stomach tightened. Is my name anywhere? Yes. Ow! You agreed to something without knowing its purpose. I stared at the dark screen. What did I sign? Evelyn answered carefully. A transfer agreement. I felt my breathing stop. Send it. I will. Daniel looked at me. What now? I closed my eyes. Now I stop fighting for my marriage. I open them. Now I fight to survive. I lost my wife, but I would not lose my future or the truth they buried beneath our marriage. Daniel placed 3 bank envelopes on my kitchen table. Sign these. I looked at the documents. What are they? New accounts. New passwords. New security questions. I thought my accounts were safe. They were safe when your wife loved you. The words hurt. I signed anyway. Daniel watched me. Ethan, this is not about punishing Victoria. I know. This is about protecting you. I know. Claire called while Daniel gathered the papers. I found something else. What? Ryan requested shareholder records 6 weeks before the London trip. My hand froze. What? Ryan wanted to know how much voting power Ethan could lose. Lose? Ryan was preparing a control strategy. I looked at Daniel. Send everything. Claire lowered her voice. There is more. Victoria approved several meetings connected to the strategy. My chest tightened. So Victoria knew. Ethan, I cannot prove Victoria approved the final plan. But Victoria knew enough. I think so. I ended the call. Daniel asked, Are you okay? No. Do you want to break something? I want to understand why Victoria needed me gone. Evelyn called next. Ethan, I confirmed the shareholder issue. How bad? Ryan planned to collect enough proxy rights to control a major block. Without me. Without your vote. Why? Because Ethan owned influence Ryan needed. I stared at the wall. So the trip was useful. Yes. They sent me across the ocean while moving against me. That is what the records suggest. I closed my eyes. I thought Victoria betrayed my heart. Daniel said, Victoria also betrayed your work. That hurts more. Why? Because building that company was part of my life. I opened my eyes. I helped Victoria when nobody believed in Victoria. Daniel nodded. Then build something Victoria cannot take. The sentence stayed with me. That night, I made a decision. I'm not exposing everything yet. Daniel frowned. Why not? Because I need to know the full plan. You trust nobody now. I trust evidence. Claire agreed. I can keep sending information. Do it quietly. And if Victoria discovers the investigation, then Victoria discovers nothing until I am ready. 3 days later, I met Marcus Reed at a quiet restaurant. Marcus studied me for a moment. Ethan Carter. Marcus, I heard about the engagement. I heard you were investigating Victoria's company. Marcus smiled faintly. News travels. Why were you investigating? Because someone has been moving money through companies connected to Victoria. Ryan. Marcus nodded. You knew. I suspected. How long? Months. Why did you not tell me? I did not know whom to trust. I almost laughed. Welcome to my life. Marcus leaned forward. Ethan, I have something Victoria cannot control. What? A business project. I frowned. My company is already damaged. I'm not asking you to return. Then what are you asking? Partner with me, temporarily. I stared at Marcus. Why me? Because you understand the numbers, the contracts, and the strategy. And because I am angry. Anger fades. Skill stays. That answer surprised me. Marcus asked, do you still love Victoria? I looked down at our untouched coffee. I do not know. That answer is honest. It is also painful. Then let the pain teach you. I spent years believing loyalty meant staying. Loyalty without respect becomes self-destruction. I nodded. I want a life where I never have to beg for honesty again. You can build that life. I intend to. When I returned home, Daniel was waiting. You look different. I feel different. Better. Stronger. Daniel smiled. That is what I wanted. I looked at the empty hallway. Victoria used to fill this house. And now I hear myself thinking. Daniel laughed softly. Then keep thinking. Daniel was right about me too. What happens if I accept? You rebuild your position without Victoria. For the first time in weeks, I felt something besides pain. Hope. I extended my hand. Temporary partnership. Marcus shook my hand. Temporary. On the drive home, I realized something important. I had spent years defining my future around Victoria. Now my future belonged to me. My phone rang near midnight. Victoria. I almost ignored the call. Then I answered. Ethan. Victoria. Silence filled the line. Finally, Victoria spoke. I know you are investigating. I know Victoria is watching. I'm not calling about that. Then why? Victoria took a shaky breath. I made a mistake. I stared into the darkness. Which mistake? Victoria whispered, choosing Ryan. I said nothing. Victoria continued. No, that is not the biggest mistake. My grip tightened around the phone. Then what is? I should never have sent you away. The room suddenly felt smaller. Why, Victoria? I was trying to protect myself. From what? Victoria's voice cracked. From what Ryan and I had planned. My heart stopped. You knew about the plan? Yes. And you still sent me away? Victoria answered through tears. Yes. I closed my eyes. The woman I once trusted had finally opened the door to the truth. I was no longer chasing Victoria's love. I was finally listening to Victoria's confession. Victoria was waiting in the conference room when I arrived. Why did Victoria ask me to come? I sat across from Victoria. Because Victoria finally admitted there was a plan. Victoria lowered her eyes. I need Ethan's help. No. Victoria needs the help of the husband Victoria betrayed. I know. Then say it. Victoria took a breath. Ryan promised me security. Security? Business security. Emotional security. Ryan told me Victoria could have everything without losing control. I almost smiled. And Victoria believed that? I wanted to believe it. What did Ryan promise? Ryan promised to protect the company. Ryan promised to stand beside me. Ryan said Ethan was becoming an obstacle. The word hit me. An obstacle? Yes. I spent years building that company with Victoria. I know. I worked nights. I created the financial systems. I found the first investors. I know. And Ryan convinced Victoria that I was the problem? Victoria whispered yes. I leaned back. Why did Victoria send me overseas? Victoria looked directly at me. I thought distance would make everything easier. For Victoria. For everyone. No. For Victoria. Victoria nodded. I believed Ethan would return after the marriage was already finished. And Ryan would be waiting. Yes. Then why is Ryan threatening Victoria now? Victoria's face tightened. Because Ryan changed. No. Ryan revealed himself. Victoria looked away. Ryan started demanding control over the company. and Victoria gave Ryan control. I signed agreements. Without reading them, I trusted Ryan. I almost laughed. Victoria accused me of not trusting anymore. I deserve that. You sign away pieces of everything I helped build. I made a terrible mistake. Victoria made choices. Yes. My phone vibrated. Claire. I answered immediately. Ethan, I found another file. What file? Ryan altered financial records. What does that mean? Ryan moved losses into accounts labeled under Victoria's authorization. My stomach tightened. Why? To make the missing money look like Victoria's fault. I looked at Victoria. Claire, send everything. I already sent copies to Evelyn. Evelyn joined the call. Ethan, Claire is correct. The digital trail is clear. Can Evelyn prove Ryan created the false records? Yes. Victoria covered her mouth. I watched Victoria carefully. So Ryan planned to blame Victoria? Yes, Evelyn answered. Victoria whispered, Ryan never loved me. I said nothing. Ryan wanted my company. Yes. He used me. Yes. Victoria looked at me. Ethan, please help me. I remained silent. I know I do not deserve forgiveness. That is not the question. Then what is the question? Why should I save the company? Victoria's eyes filled with tears. Because hundreds of employees depend on it. That answer stopped me. I thought about the workers who had trusted the company for years. What happens if I expose everything tonight? Investors panic, Evelyn said. Banks could freeze accounts. Employees could lose jobs. And if I stay quiet? Ryan keeps control, Claire replied. I looked at Victoria. There is another choice. Victoria asked, what choice? I expose Ryan without destroying everyone else. Victoria stared at me. You would do that? I will protect innocent people. What about me? I stood. Victoria will face the consequences of Victoria's choices. Victoria began crying. I'm sorry. I believe Victoria regrets it. Then please believe I never wanted this. I believe Victoria wanted security more than honesty. Victoria nodded. That is true. I walked toward the door. Ethan, I stopped. Can Victoria ever repair what was destroyed? I turned back. No. Victoria closed her eyes. I understand. I stepped into the hallway and felt something change inside me. I had every reason to destroy Victoria. For one dangerous second, I wanted revenge. Then I remembered the employees who had nothing to do with our betrayal. Strength was not burning everything down because I could. Strength was choosing who deserved punishment. Ryan had chosen greed. Victoria had chosen betrayal. I chose justice. Before I reached the elevator, Victoria called again. Ethan, I answered. Thank you. Do not thank me. Why? Because saving the company is not saving our marriage. Silence followed. I know, Victoria whispered. For the first time, Victoria sounded afraid of losing me instead of afraid of losing the company. I ended the call. I did not feel victorious. I felt free. I returned to the conference room before leaving. One more thing. Victoria looked up. What? If Ryan contacts Victoria, record everything. Why? Because Ryan will try to make Victoria believe I am still the enemy. I believe that. No. Victoria believed that before. Victoria removed the ring. The diamond struck the table. I should have done this earlier. Yes. Victoria stared at it. It meant everything. It meant something to me, too. I am sorry. I walked away without looking back. Ethan, the employees are safe for now. Good. Are you sure about helping Victoria? I am protecting people who had nothing to do with this. I understand. I ended the call and looked out the window. For months, I thought losing Victoria would destroy me. Now I understood something different. Losing Victoria had forced me to find myself again. I carried the pain. Marcus placed a folder in front of me. Everything is ready. I opened the folder. Legal notices? Legal notices, transaction records, shareholder documents. Marcus replied. Evelyn added. The evidence connects Ryan to the altered accounts. Daniel leaned forward. Then stop talking and file everything. I looked at Marcus. Once we do this, there is no turning back. Marcus nodded. That is why I waited. I signed the first document. Send it. Within hours, Ryan called me. Ethan, what are you doing? Protecting myself. You are attacking Victoria's company. No, I am exposing your fraud. Ryan laughed. You are angry because Victoria chose me. I am angry because Ryan stole from the company. You want control. I want the truth. Ryan's voice sharpened. You think investors will believe you? I do not need them to believe me. The records will speak. Ryan ended the call. 5 minutes later, Marcus called. Ryan contacted 3 investors. What did Ryan say? Ryan claimed Ethan is trying to seize Victoria's company. I shook my head. Let Ryan tell that story. Marcus replied, the documents say otherwise. Evelyn called next. Ethan, the first accounts are frozen. Already? Yes. The legal team moved quickly. Daniel smiled. Ryan is losing access. I want everything done legally. It is being done legally. Then Victoria called. Ethan, I have the private meeting records. Send them to Evelyn. I will. Victoria, are you ready for what comes next? I am ready. Are you sure? Yes. An hour later, Victoria entered the conference room. Ryan was already there. Ryan looked at me and smiled. So this is the plan? I answered no. This is the consequence. Ryan turned toward Victoria. Victoria, tell Ethan the truth. Victoria remained silent. Ryan stepped closer. You promised loyalty. Victoria finally answered. I promised loyalty before I understood what Ryan wanted. Ryan's smile disappeared. What does Ryan want? Victoria held up the documents. Control. Ryan shook his head. That is a lie. Evelyn placed another file on the table. Ryan's signatures are here. Marcus added. So are the transfer instructions. Ryan stared at the papers. I can explain. I said, explain the false records. Ryan looked at Victoria. Victoria, help me. Victoria did not move. Victoria, say something. I'm saying something. Victoria placed more documents beside the others. Private meetings, secret transfers, proxy agreements. Ryan stared at the pile. You recorded me? I kept records. Ryan's voice became desperate. You cannot do this. Victoria answered, Ryan already did this. Ryan grabbed the back of a chair. Victoria, choose. Victoria looked directly at Ryan. Choose what? Loyalty or survival? I watched Victoria breathe slowly. Ryan, loyalty does not mean protecting betrayal. Ryan stepped back. You need me. Victoria shook her head. I needed the person I thought you were. The room went silent. My phone vibrated. Marcus checked his screen. 2 more investors froze Ryan's access. Evelyn looked at another notification. The bank has restricted the remaining corporate accounts connected to Ryan. Ryan stared at me. You planned this. I answered, Ryan created this. Ryan looked toward Victoria. After everything, Victoria is still blaming me? Victoria replied. Victoria is finally telling the truth. Ryan turned back to me. Ethan, Victoria betrayed you first. Yes. Ryan smiled weakly. Then punish Victoria, too. I stepped closer. Victoria deserves consequences. Ryan's expression changed. But Ryan will not use Victoria's guilt to erase Ryan's crimes. You still love Victoria. That is irrelevant. You are protecting Victoria. I am protecting the truth. Ryan looked around the room. No one moved. No one defended Ryan. The same confidence Ryan once carried was gone. Then the conference room doors opened. A legal officer entered with another folder. Ryan Brooks, these documents confirm the investigation. Ryan whispered, this cannot be happening. I looked at Ryan. It is already happening. The news spread before sunset. Investors withdrew support. The board announced an emergency review. Ryan's name appeared in every report discussing the financial scandal. I watched the headlines without satisfaction. I felt only exhaustion. Victoria sat beside me later, holding a stack of papers. Ethan, I looked up. What is it? I am signing these. I read the first page. Transfer of control. Victoria nodded. I am removing myself from executive control. Why? Because the company needs a new beginning. I looked at Victoria. Victoria built this company. Yes. And Victoria is giving it away. I built a company. I also damaged it. Victoria signed the final page. I no longer expect forgiveness. I stayed silent. Victoria placed the pen down. I only hope Ethan eventually has peace. I looked at the papers. For the first time, the future did not belong to Victoria. It belonged to me. Daniel found me outside. You did not celebrate. There was nothing to celebrate. You won. I survived. Daniel smiled. That may be the bigger victory. I remembered London. I returned looking for my wife, I said. I found the truth instead. Now, what? I looked toward the traffic. Now I build a life nobody can take from me again. At last, my own future belonged to me alone. Victoria met me at the small cafe where we first discussed building a life together. I wanted one final conversation, Victoria said. I know. I'm not here to ask for forgiveness. That matters. Victoria lowered her eyes. I destroyed our marriage because I treated love like something I could control. I breathed slowly. Victoria controlled everything except the one thing that mattered. Trust. Yes. Victoria looked at me. I kept telling myself I could choose business, choose Ryan, and still decide when Ethan would stay. Ethan, my life, our marriage, everything. I nodded. I made mistakes too. Victoria looked surprised. What mistake could Ethan possibly have made? I believe promises were proof of loyalty. Were they not? No. Loyalty is proven when nobody is watching. Victoria's eyes filled with tears. I wanted security. I know. I wanted control. I know. I thought Ryan could give me both. Ryan gave Victoria an illusion. Yes. Silence settled between us. Victoria finally asked, "Is reconciliation impossible?" I looked at Victoria for a long moment. I cannot return to the marriage we had. Because you stopped loving me? Because I finally learned to love myself. Victoria closed her eyes. I deserve that. I'm not trying to punish Victoria. Then what is Ethan trying to do? End the pain without carrying it forever. Victoria nodded. I wish I had understood that before. So do I. Victoria stood. Can I hug Ethan? I hesitated, then nodded. Victoria embraced me briefly. I am sorry. I believe Victoria. I stepped back. But forgiveness does not mean returning. Understand. Outside, Daniel waited beside my car. How did it go? Quietly. Good. I thought I would feel angry. Daniel smiled. What do you feel? Free. Daniel nodded. Then do not become bitter. I will not. Betrayal can change you without owning you. I looked toward the street. That is what I want. Claire called before I reached the car. Ethan, are you ready for the new office? I laughed. Already. The employees need direction. Then I better get to work. Claire replied. The rescued staff have accepted the transition. Anyone losing everything? No. We protected the affected employees. Good. And Ethan? Yes. Build something better. I will. Weeks later, I opened the doors to my new company. The resources I recovered helped me start, but my real strength came from everything I learned during the collapse. I refused to build another empire around one person. I built systems. I built trust slowly. I hired employees who valued honesty over appearances. Daniel walked through the office. You really did it. I did. Does it feel strange? Yes. How strange. I used to think my future was Victoria's company. Daniel nodded. Now my future is whatever I build next. Claire entered carrying reports. Ryan's legal case moved forward. I looked up. What happens now? Ryan faces the consequences of the financial crimes. I felt no satisfaction. Good. Claire studied me. No anger? Some. No desire for revenge? No. Claire smiled. That means you won. I shook my head. I won when betrayal stopped controlling my decisions. That evening, I returned home. My old suitcase still stood inside the closet. I pulled it out and ran my hand across the worn handle. That suitcase had carried me to London. It had carried contracts, clothes, exhaustion, and blind trust. I opened it. Nothing important remained inside. Yet I smiled. Daniel called. Why are you laughing? Because this suitcase used to remind me of loss. And now it reminds me that I survived the journey. Daniel was quiet. Then Daniel asked, Are you happy? I looked around my new home. Yes. Really? Yes. I finally understood why. I did not need Victoria to regret losing me. I did not need Ryan to suffer more. I did not need anyone to validate my worth. I only needed to stop begging people to value me. A knock sounded at my door. Victoria stood outside. I came to say goodbye. I opened the door. How is Victoria? Rebuilding. Good. I'm starting over. So am I. Victoria smiled sadly. Ethan, I hope you find everything I could not give you. I already found it. What? Peace. Victoria nodded. I am glad. I stepped aside. Victoria walked away. I watched until Victoria disappeared from sight. Then I closed the door. For the first time, closing that door did not feel like losing someone. It felt like choosing myself. I picked up my suitcase and placed it beside the new office bag. The journey had changed me. The betrayal had wounded me, but neither one owned me anymore. I had returned home. I simply had not returned to my old life. I had returned to myself. I stood there quietly, listening to the silence. For years, I had feared empty rooms. Now the silence felt different. The silence was mine. I could finally hear my own thoughts without Victoria, Ryan, or the past telling me who I should become. I chose myself without apology. For once, tomorrow frightened me less than yesterday ever did again.